Hey, ladies. I've just been thinking about this topic of boundaries, and now that there's new boundaries that have to be set because we're home all the time, and everyone's home all the time. In France, they call it the CAD, which is the framework, and our framework has changed drastically. And so, just having to deal with that and having to pivot and change, I'm just wondering how you're dealing with that, making a new boundary in your household.
Sandra, it's been a little different, definitely. For us, we've had to create some different time and spatial boundaries around here. My husband is now home. He's home working in the house, and so he definitely needs his space. He has three huge monitors, and he's brought all of his equipment in the house, and so he needs space. And so I have six kids, five boys, and so they need their space. And so we've had to completely give up the basement, which is where we had our homeschool set up. And so we've had to come out of the basement, and we have recreated our space to school on the second and third floor of the house. And so that has been somewhat of an adjustment for the kids, but it works. And but again, being on the second and third floor means we have to create some boundaries within the kitchen because now they feel like they should just eat all day. And so,
I feel like that too.
Right. So we had to create some kind of schedule and some time schedules within the kitchen of when you eat and when you actually work. And so it's been an adjustment, but we're making it work.
Wow. So for me, boundaries could be a schedule because, we are home all the time. Sometimes doesn't feel where is the line? And I think, I'm going to be honest, I think I could be one of those workaholic type of people because I love what I do. I love to work. I'm very passionate about what I do as a career and profession, but also at the same time, I need to remember, oh, I have a family. And for me, I have learned this concept of breathing room, having enough room to breathe. And sometimes I feel like for me, those boundaries are important. And the way it has translated for our family is accountability. That means that I know, before I was like, I need to know what my children are doing. But now my children are like, we need to know what you're doing too, because I'm working, they're working, we are all working. So we all decided to be accountable to each other. They have a whiteboard in the rooms where they write what they need to do. So we know as parents what they need to do. But also I have to write my schedule. They need to know what I'm supposed to be doing. And sometimes, I am doing work when I'm supposed to be watching a movie. And my 10-year-old, she calls me out. She's like, you're not supposed to be working. We're supposed to be watching a movie. So I like that. And I think we all need that. And, the part where boundaries for me is accountability, is breathing rooms, enough not to book my schedule from morning to night, but have enough room to breathe and be accountable to each other as a family.
I really, really like that, Kareem, because I like how you made that visual, because our schedules were visible before, in that we were leaving, we were coming, we were going, and there was a tangible feeling about that schedule. But like you're saying, when you're home all the time, you almost have to create this artificial infrastructure that you can feel. And so I really like that. I'm going to take that because I think that would really help, especially my younger one. But I think also when I think about boundaries, like you have alluded to, there are relational boundaries that we get an intense opportunity to practice right now. And they might be things that we believed before, but now there are things we have to practice much more intensely now. Like, for example, in our home, we have a motto that you may disagree, but you may never disrespect. And it's so easy to cross that boundary. And it's even to the point where my son does his math online. It's a video-based math. And sometimes he wants to make fun of that teacher on the video. I don't allow him to do that. That is disrespectful. I say, Mom, she's not even here. I said, yes, but that's still a person, and the principle is the same. And we have another principle that I'd like to make things rhyme. It's helpful for me to remember. First we obey, and then we play. So if there are chores, if there are responsibilities, that those have to be done first, and then play after that. And I think that having those boundaries in your relationship, guidelines that say we're going to work through these conflicts because we're a family, we're going to do it in this way. And you know what? It's going to start with me. I'm not going to disrespect you either. I'm not going to scold you in public. I'm not going to work things out with you in ways that I wouldn't want you to treat me. And so it's an opportunity to intentionally kind of bring all that stuff home. So that's another kind of boundary that we've been practicing probably more intensely than before.
Yeah, I definitely feel the intensity for sure, Heather. And, everything is amplified. So whatever thing that you're like, I'm going to deal with that later, it's not going anywhere. So I have to deal with it now. For us, it really helps to have a regular time of meeting. So we have some set meeting times. So our children are now naturally waking up around 8 o'clock. And so I've never known their natural waking time because we've always had to wake by the alarm by 6. So that is really nice. And so everyone wakes up. I'm up, a few hours before that. So that gives me some touch time with my husband, figure out who's having what meeting at when time. And so where we can split up and where we can oversee the kids. They're a little bit bigger now, so we do let them go outside and ride their bikes alone, and they're allowed to do that. So that's one boundary. They know that they can go from our cul-de-sac to the cul-de-sac on the other side and come back. So that is okay. So if we can't find them, I know I can go to the other cul-de-sac and they'll be there. That's one boundary. And then another thing is sort of routine, right? So all the routines are off. And so for us, knowing that we're all going to gather together at 9:30, we have a really brief prayer and Bible study. So we're going through the Psalms. So my kids are writing through the Psalms, and they're doing that with my mom. And so that's really fun. They get to share each other, what they've written. And then we have a brief study. So that kind of sets off our day. And then school is usually from 9 to noon or so. And, my kids are young enough that it's done pretty early. And so we have that. And then we have dinner around 6. So knowing that those things are in play have been really helpful. And it's just something that I can hold on to, that I have a schedule, because like you said, Heather, we're not leaving. So that makes really tough. And, another thing is, like, even though they are new boundaries, I'm just trying to be grateful during this time, because a lot of the things are really special things that may not ever happen, may happen again time-wise, because this sort of timeline for anyone schooling at home or homeschooling, I hope that we don't have another pandemic in our lifetime, but we'll never experience again this sort of abundance of time. So just trying to, make that a positive time. So thanks for sharing your boundaries of your home. And, we have to keep pivoting, right, ladies?
Yes. When I think about boundaries, I really think about relationships, much like what you said, Heather. Boundaries are all about relationships. And we use scripture in our home, and we love the scripture, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And that's the framework of our boundaries. It's based on love, respect, and an investment of time. And so when I think about boundaries, I think about character building and making sure that with my children, I put that big rock in the jar. So when I'm teaching, I'm more concerned about the behavior, the attitude, even before the lesson. And that gives me an opportunity to help grow my children. Doing unto others as you would have others do unto you is a business model for me. It's a leadership model for me. And I teach kids that when you find yourself in a relationship that is not reciprocal, then your boundaries are not in a good place. If you have a friend, or whether it be on a video game, whether it be on a text, whether it be on the phone or any place, we teach our kids that you have to have these healthy boundaries. I'm blessed to be a child who witnessed abuse. and having lived through it and able to have a new life and a new generation that is free from abuse, I'm very sensitive to what it looks like. And I encourage my kids to make sure that they're in healthy relationships. And it really, healthy relationships always starts with us. It starts with us first. Are we treating someone the way we want them to treat us? And so the thing that I always say, that it's a humble, delicate balance that we all can do. And yes, it does pour into our schedule and everything that goes on in the house. So if it's your turn to be on a Zoom, it's your turn for the house to be quiet, people around us respect that. And that comes with time and training in the house. And we all, like, I love what you said, Sandra, we all have time to do it. During this pandemic, we have unprecedented time to teach those character-based skills. And I'm so grateful for this time.
Thank you, ladies. That's so great. Thanks for sharing all your stories. And I hope we can, take some of those away to implement them in our own homes. So.